Once a review on a smartphone is complete, we get to decide if it'll be our next personal phone. With the Galaxy S7 review out of the way now, I can without hesitation say that it has become my phone of choice, at least for the moment. So because of that decision, I've been able to set one up the way I like, without the manufacturer launcher and their apps, etc. That means third-party launcher, new icons, and theme. So with that in mind, it's time for a tour. This is my Android for March 2016. As I just mentioned, I'm using the Galaxy S7, and that should really come as no surprise. I had very few negative comments to make during my review because Samsung has done a pretty brilliant job here with this phone. I did switch over, though, from the US carrier variant to the international Exynos powered unit, and I'm glad that I did. With this model in particular, I'm seeing some of the best day-to-day battery efficiency of my life. I'm typically a 1 to 2 hours of screen on time guy, but with this phone, I can hit 4 hours by the end of a day and still have 10 to 15% battery left. For me, that's record-breaking stuff, and I tend to believe it's the Exynos processor instead of that Snapdragon 820 that we're seeing here in the US. But I'm also using this phone because of the camera, which is incredibly fast and takes great photos, the incredible size, the fit and finish, the headphone jack down here on the bottom, water resistance, and at least so far, the performance. While I'm tempted to jump back to the Nexus 6P for that stock Android goodness, I haven't needed to. The Galaxy S7 is running Android 6.0.1, so until the 6P gets a big update like to Android N when it becomes official later this summer, I'm current and that's good enough for me. I use Nova Launcher and have for years. You guys know that. Until another launcher comes around and does something unique enough for me to switch, I'll still be here. This launcher offers more features than almost anyone, and it even gets me close to the Google Now launcher experience if I needed to, except it adds on all of the power that you want in a third-party launcher. But it's also so familiar at this point, I can set it up with backups or by memory in just a matter of minutes. If you aren't using Nova, it's an app I will always recommend. The developer is constantly adding new features that take advantage of new features Google's introduced in something like the new version of Android. There's a beta version if you're into experimenting, and there's typically pretty solid discounts to be had on the Pro version, which isn't exactly the cheapest app. Nova Launcher, you just really can't go wrong. The basics for my setup haven't changed much within the past year since we last did one of these, but it's certainly evolved to make my smartphone experience more efficient than ever. I still keep most of my used apps readily available in an app cluster, but I've also taken away the extra dock panels that I used to swipe between. Instead, now I've got folders that are represented by these cute little dots here, and then I've added a shortcut for my battery stats since I seem to be obsessing over them in recent months. Oh, and I do have one other dock page that is set up, and it's really just for when I go running. As you can see here, it's got Runkeeper and Google Play Music on it. As for home screens, I still just keep two. I have my main page, which sits right next to a page that has a calendar widget and Google Search. And that's it. I can swipe either direction to get between them. I also keep a swipe down gesture for notifications, along with a swipe up for Google Now. I've also turned off Now on tap because since it was released last year, I have yet to use it in a real-world setting for whatever reason. Again, I like to consider my setup compact yet efficient. I'm currently using material cards for my icon pack, the material black theme for the Galaxy S7 just to darken things up a bit and work on that battery life. And I'm jumping between wallpapers from Materialistic with a K and Plastexo. This wallpaper here is actually from Plastexo. My setup in recent months tends to reflect Google's material design, but through the vision of some truly great icon and wallpaper designers. I keep it simple and clean at all times. See, my setup hasn't really changed much since last year, and I don't really expect it to going forward. The setup allows me to get in and out of my favorite apps or services while keeping it clean and flexible enough to not make me cringe during the hundreds of times per day that I unlock this phone. So tell me, what's your Android setup like?